Syracuse almost completed the comeback, but they did not. Fell to Pitt inside the JMA Dome, 84-82. Judah Mintz, not quite Tyler Ennis, but maybe one day. We'll talk about the loss and everything that comes with it on Locked On Syracuse. Starts right now.
Are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your Thursday episode of Locked On Syracuse. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. I apologize. I sound a little bit stuffed up today. It's that kind of year. I'm working through it, as I'm sure a lot of you are as well. Oh, and how's your nose holding up? You clogged?
I'm okay-ish.
You sound good.
I've had days where it's been bad, but right now I'm feeling all right. We'll continue on the apology train. Sorry for the delayed episode release. Had some complications last night, so we're here. We're still back.
We are here.
It's a good morning. Signing day.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll talk about that for tomorrow because we're going to record two episodes today, so we'll keep everyone on their toes. But a lot going on. Sorry for the delay, but still a ton to talk about.
Absolutely. Let's talk about this loss that Syracuse took to Pitt. I had a lot to say about it last night, and it's almost good that I got to have the night to think about it, so I could really review my thoughts for the morning. Now, when I was watching this game, the first half especially was they were just dropping threes. Nelly Cummings especially, and Jorge Diaz-Graham were just dropping threes. Actually, he only had one. But still, they were just dropping threes. And I was remembering back to my days playing in the Greenwich Basketball Association as a middle school student. Now, there was this one day we were playing. We had a game. I can't remember who we were playing, but there was this kid on the other team, Daniel. It was the day of his bar mitzvah, okay? Kid had turned 13. He was becoming a man, okay? Day of his bar mitzvah. I was guarding him. And if you know anything about me, if you've been listening to my voice since my WAER days, you might know that I was known for having I could put up a good defensive possession because, I wasn't great on the court, but I could give you a good couple of defensive possessions. And that's the only thing I had against Daniel. And I'll tell you what, that kid splashed 13 threes in my face that day. It was anything he sent out, anything he put up went down. It was, and after the game, I saw him in the parking lot, and he was like, "Sorry, man, my bar mitzvah, I guess. Like, it's just like the magic hand I had." And I was pushing him down. I was fouling him. I was in his face. Didn't matter. Anything he put up, it went down. And that's how I felt about Pitt. It didn't matter if Syracuse closed out. It didn't matter if their technique was poor. Everything the Panthers put up in the first half from outside the three-point arc went down. And that's how I felt. I felt like I was guarding Daniel again. So anyway, I just had to get that out. I've been thinking about that since the first half. I wanted to say that. So there's that.
100% though. Really. Yeah. And it was, yes, there's a lot to be attributed to the defense in terms of some of those looks. And it's slow rotations and leaving guys open and being out of position sometimes. And, that's a result of transitions, rotations, communication, things like that, knowing the zone, knowing what to do, a little bit of instinct as well. A lot of them, some of them were just clean, wide open looks. But the more I watched, there was some frustration where, you're playing decent defensive possessions and Pitt's still going to splash a three in your face. So it was one of those days where, and you said in the first half, they only shot 4% worse in the second half from three. I think they finished the game with over 40% from three as a team. They hit their threes, and late in the game, those numbers dipped a little bit. but they were hitting shots, and a number of them were because of defensive issues, but a number of them as well were strictly just because Pitt was hitting threes and they were shooting the ball really well, and it's something that happens against zones. That could be a trigger sentence for some people, but Nelly
It's true
Cummings,
though.
back-to-back years, torches Syracuse in the Dome with different teams.
Yeah, Nelly, he's just a Syracuse killer. And like you said, did it last year when he was a part of Colgate. This year, Pitt. I mean, he was elite. Um, and there's a lot of other things I want to talk about in this game too. Why can Syracuse never? Why do I never feel confident on an inbounds play? Ever. I've never felt confident on an inbounds play. They were terrible last night. They lost the ball in the most
Yeah, I mean,
important play of the game. It was just like, why does it never work? It reminded me of the Buffalo game when from 2020, 2021, the Allen Griffin block game that they ended up winning. But if you remember, there was an awful inbounds play where they threw the ball into Marek. He dribbled it off his foot and gave it away. They can never, if we ever get a Syracuse basketball alum on this podcast, my first question, maybe not my first, but one of my questions will be, what is Boeheim like on the sideline when you're about to have the biggest inbound of the game? Because I'm so curious. This guy's a Hall
I
of
want.
Famer. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time, and I don't feel confident that he's going to drop a good inbounds play.
So let me talk this one through. So for those of you that know me, I work in Liverpool as a teacher, and I work our basketball games. Um, and last night I was working a JV boys basketball game. Preston Schumpert is the head coach, former Syracuse stud, still top 5 all time in terms of, I believe, 3-pointers made. And down by 3 with 6 seconds left on the clock, sideline inbound in the offensive half, I will say. Schumpert draws up a beautiful play with an inbound down screen to a wide open guard, splashes a 3 for the tie. They end up winning in double overtime. I leave that game to attend Syracuse basketball game against Pitt last night, in which Jim Boeheim, albeit better basketball mind than most, better basketball mind than me. I'm never here to contest that. But I watched the play drawn up out of a timeout with 16 seconds left, which was to get Jesse the ball, which you could argue is an issue in and of itself. But Judah goes dribble, 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 dribble. There is no movement. I got home last night and I rewatched the play probably 7 or 8 times. Nobody moves. The 4 players not named Judah Mintz, and I believe Quadir Copeland was running up the ball or up off the inbound. So Quadir is running side by side. No one moved outside of those 2 guys. Jesse is posting up. Judah doesn't see the double team. I get that one almost, right? It was a good defensive play by Pitt, honestly, but you can't pick that dribble up. And it corners him, and that's play number 1 out of a timeout, down by 1, where you need a 2, right? Judah loves that mid-range pull-up. He hit it probably 3 or 4 times in this game. I would have loved it if he pulled that up, took that shot, right? You're taking the ball out of your guards who have been playing outstanding, and feeding Jesse inside, albeit against Pitt's number 2 big, playing down low at that point.
Yeah.
In Diaz, or was it Diaz Graham down there at that point?
I don't know.
I think it was, but I could be 100% wrong. Whoever it is, it was the second big because of the foul out. So I get that maybe that's the case, but your guards are what propelled you back into that game. And Joe, as much as you want to say stupid shot, stupid shot, stupid shot, they're going in. And a guy like Joe Girard, who can shoot the lights out when he's hot, is in this game. And Judah has been scoring really well, even though it wasn't the most efficient. You force to Jesse, and it leads to a turnover. Then, very fortunate, you get a missed free throw on the other end with 6 seconds left. Still a 2-point game. Caples calls timeout. You get to draw up a play. Second time, you get your redemption shot. First of all, I want to shout out Stephon Diggs, because during those free throws for Pitt with 6 seconds left, he was on his feet screaming like nobody else in the
Love
building
that from
was
Stephon.
doing. It was incredible to watch. Shout out Josh Allen. More importantly, shout out Gabe Davis. Okay, Gabe Davis, my dog. I went to the Bills Steelers game. I housed Gabe Davis' first touchdown, and he scored the first touchdown. He's got
Good for
all my
you.
praise. But you come out of this timeout, and once again, inbound to Judah. And if you watch the play again, nobody moves.
Yeah, man.
Nobody moves.
Well, so I think that there's an issue with Judah in that he's so young and he has a lot to learn, and we all know that. But he really thinks that he has to win the game every time the ball's in his hands. And
I
in
love
this
the approach,
situation,
but
it was that was his potential Tyler Ennis moment, and maybe his Tyus Battle drops one on G Town moment, but it just wasn't. I never felt like Judah was going to go hit that shot because he can't hit threes. But he definitely way too many times thinks that he has to win the game all by himself. Let's take a quick break, and then we will keep this conversation going. But this one brought to you by BetOnline. It's your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college football season to basketball and the World Cup. They got it all at BetOnline. If you love sports podcasts, they got those too. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay. Yeah, Judah, I mean, he just thinks he's got to do it all by himself. And that's a huge issue because he doesn't. One. Two, he just while like you said, he had some really nice moves. He made a beautiful couple mid-range shots in that game that I didn't think he was going to, and then he just splashed, and I was really impressed. But he had 24 points on 7 of 17 shooting. I mean, that's not very good. So there's definitely merit to that. Now, in the term of Gerard, a lot of people are probably going to want to dog Gerard after this game, but I won't. I was definitely one of the however many that was screaming, "Joe, don't shoot that!" twice, 2 shots in a row when he hit the one. I don't remember where he hit the first one, but the second one, especially the step back that was so deep straight away. I said, "Joe, what are you doing?" And then he cashed it. That was awesome. But the thing I immediately thought was, I am so glad that he had the confidence to take that shot. I mean, that is really important. And I'm really glad Joe had that confidence, because it's not easy to after everybody's been dogging you for weeks about how bad you've been. And oh, by the way, a ballsy shot by him, because if he misses that, oh my goodness, can you imagine the backlash if he missed that shot? It was like 5 seconds into the shot clock. He took
that
a
would be the
step
only
back
conversation.
three. I could not believe he took that shot. Of course he cashes.
That would have been the only conversation today.
Yeah.
If he took that shot and missed.
So he hits that shot. Maybe you should have tried to get it to Joe during that last play, but at the same time, they were doubling him a lot of the end of the game because he is the best shooter on the floor. But do you hear music? Oh, it's my alarm. Sorry. I was so shook there for a second.
You're good.
I was like, what
You're
is
good.
that? Sorry about that. But
no worries.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, he deserves some credit. And it was also like it was incredibly, like, it was a big example of how this team is going to go as far as Joe Girard takes it. If Joe scores 25, they win this game. If Joe scores 30, they're going to win any given night. If he has a performance like this where he's, a little bit shaky to begin, but then picks it up, they're going to have a chance. And that's what you saw. One more note on Jesse is, honestly, like, I hate to say it, but we really need to see something better from him. I mean, he only took 8 shots. He had 9 rebounds, which was good. 6 blocks. He was great on the defensive end, and he fouled out. But in terms of the offense, he really has to be there. And he gets doubled and whatnot, so I'm not going to totally rag on him. But, I mean, this is his senior season. Jesse should be able to, especially if this kid thinks he's an NBA prospect, which I think he can be. He needs to be able to put up more than 8 points against the Pitt Panthers.
I want to talk a little about Girard. And you hit on it with what you said. It's a gutsy shot to take. knowing the already lingering feud between the Syracuse fan base and Joe Girard, who, quite frankly, I don't imagine cares. But the Syracuse fan base is very vocal about Joe Girard. And I want to say this because I think there is this huge disconnect between the mental, how bad he's playing, and the reality. Joe Girard is a necessity for this team to win, proven once again in this basketball game that they are down until he starts to hit his shots. This team has no three-point presence outside of Girard. And I do want to give him some credit as everyone's talking about this horrendous season he's having. He's terrible. He can't shoot. He's had this terrible stretch. He doesn't know what to do. He had a 4-game stretch where he went 3 from 23 from 3. That was bad. It was tough to watch. It was difficult. Outside of that 4-game stretch, he's shooting over 42% from 3. And including that 4-game stretch, he's still shooting over 36% or 36% from deep, which is not terrible by any means, despite the narrative, despite the fact that he had this horrid stretch where it was awful. But this offense and Syracuse's ability to win games and succeed is reliant on Joe Girard because as we sit here right now, how many games into the season? What are they, 8-5, 13 games into the season? The losses they have, look at Girard's performance in those games. Okay? Those are his down games are when Syracuse is losing. And they're winning games when he plays well. They need him to do it. And we're 13 games in, and there isn't an option 2 from beyond the arc. So for Syracuse to win, you either need A, Joe Girard to play a really good game, or B, somebody else needs to learn how to shoot the three.
So that's what I was going to say is the other point I have is that Chris Bell, like,
should be done.
He might be bad. Like, I don't want to say he is, but he might be.
I think you're right.
He might be. Like, I really don't want it to be true, but he looked like awful. Like, he hit a couple decent shots, but he's 0 for 5 from 3. He looked I mean, yes, he's a freshman. Like, listen, people, don't jump down our throats. Like, obviously, we know he's a freshman. He's got a long way to go, and I'm not giving up on the kid. I'm just saying, in a game like this was his chance to shine. And you're supposed to be a highly touted recruit. Shoot the 3, man. Hit a couple shots, kid.
I'm gonna give my Dino Babers as a bad coach thing here for Chris Bell. Okay. He's not shooting the ball well. He can't defend. He can't rebound. He has one really cool dunk. It's like the Dino Babers post-game speech. It's like the Dino Babers post-game speech, right? He's got this thing that's really cool, but these 3 things that are just like, holding me back, right? What are you doing at this point? What are you doing to say I should play? And you know what I'm seeing right now, and we've gone this long without talking about it, I'm seeing 2 guys saying, give me those minutes because it is embarrassing how badly the forwards for Syracuse basketball continue to perform. And I see Quadir Copeland
lineup all the time.
Said, let me eat these 13 minutes up yesterday and plays an unbelievable game of basketball. I see Malik Brown, who played almost 30 minutes yesterday, say, yeah, I'm a spark. I'm a dog. Awesome. I'm going to go out. I'm going to get rebounds. I'm going to block shots. I'm going to score. I am going to do what I can. I am going to hustle. And Boeheim talked about that after the game. He is never, in his 47 years as a head coach, per him, had players with such an issue with effort and hustle.
That's so sad.
And that is what he is describing as the 2 starting forwards in Chris Bell and Benny Williams right now. That's embarrassing, and it is sad, as you just said.
It's just sad. Like, come on, man. Chris Bell doesn't realize how good he's got it right now. Like, he's starting. And Boeheim has been threatening to take his job away. and he hasn't done it. And there's a guy right behind him in Justin Taylor who could take it, but he's not playing well enough to do so. If I'm Boeheim right now, you either run the same lineup and then you change it immediately during the game, or you just run something else. I mean, that 3-guard lineup they ran at the end of the game was really good. Quadir, like you mentioned, was so good. He hit that
Awesome.
three, that very, very clutch three that basically put them in the game for real.
It was a 4,
and
actually.
True, it was a 4-point play. He was so freaking good. And then, like you mentioned,
Incredible.
Malik Brown played almost 30 minutes in this game. He played 27 minutes. Bell and Benny combined for 26. So he just took their time on the court, and he was good. So
yeah,
we're in ACC play now. I mentioned this on the pod that I did on Monday. You have to figure out your rotations now. This is not really the kind of time where we've gotten past the point of testing things out. You are now in conference play, and these are every single game is incredibly crucial to the NCAA tournament. You really have to figure it out now. And I think that Chris Bell's given you your answer in the fact that he is not shooting well. He doesn't rebound. Like Owen said, he had that really one cool dunk, or that one really cool dunk, and that was pretty much it. So he's driving me nuts.
It sort of seems like that nasty high school relationship, that nasty couple that gets into this big screaming match and they hate each other, and then they come back together. Like, it's going to work this time.
Yes, that is what it feels like.
He's better now. And then you're going to give him another start. And then you have this big, nasty, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you.
And he still lets you down. Up, and then he still forgets your anniversary.
Yeah, he's changed. There you go. I like that. He still forgets the anniversary, right? It's an issue here. We've got to see a change. And I
said, I'm going to be better, but he doesn't. He doesn't change.
Yeah, and I look right now, and if this is not a bash at Boeheim by any means, but the only reason that you are playing as many guys as you are right now is because you don't know who should be playing. And quite frankly, I don't know who should be playing. I have ideas.
Yeah, neither do I.
I think yesterday has changed my narrative a little bit with the minutes and who should be getting what. But really, it is so up in the air. And I feel like, we have – I'm going to use a dog example because I've said dog 2 or 3 times. It's like there's a bowl of treats and a group of, we'll say, 12 dogs circled around this bowl of treats, but there's no one guarding it. There's no one saying you can't have these treats, but nobody wants them. But they're just staying there. Like, no one is chomping at the bit, right? How often do you see a guy on the bench that could be playing and should be playing? And I think about it in terms of high level Power 5 college football programs with the backup quarterback, like a 5-star guy that really is incredible, just sitting there waiting for that moment where the guy ahead of you leaves or gets hurt and you can jump.
Yeah.
And right now you've got this golden opportunity as a Syracuse bench player to jump and take advantage of this. And same with some of the starters, right? In toss-ups, and no one is. And last night, Malik Brown put up case number 3 or 4 for why those minutes should now be his. Quadir Copeland has not really had a good chance in terms of extended minutes in relevant time to show why he deserves. He finally jumped at that bowl of treats. We're starting to finally get that, but it has taken a while. And that is why you're still seeing 10 guys in. When you're seeing players come in and put up goose eggs or not really do too much or just sort of having wasted shifts. Nowhere yesterday in the stretch where Malik Brown plays a half hour and Quadir Copeland plays the last 10 minutes of this basketball game did I ask where Benny Williams or Chris Bell were. I didn't even have a thought. And that is saying, I think, everything about how they've been playing right now. And I hate to say it because I'm a big Benny fan. I have nothing against either of them, but I just I'm watching these games and waiting for them to, you have, in my hand, I have $100,000. They're like, no, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
You're right. It is getting a little bit infuriating. I do want to make a comment about how I have two things to say about how they played in the last 5 minutes. One, I'll start with the positive. I mean, they showed character. At least they showed the will to fight, and they didn't give up on that game, and they continued to stay in it, and they made they had a chance to win it. I didn't think that they would. To be honest, they were down 20. I didn't think they were coming back, and they did. So I want to say that it is good that they showed the will to fight, and they stayed in it, and they never gave up, and they kept going. Now, where was that the whole game? Like, where was that the entire game? They looked terrible for way too long in that game.
There
And
was
guess what?
20% of that the whole game.
It was exactly what we said it was going to be in terms of the slow start finally caught up with them. They went into the
That's what we
half down
said.
8 points.
That was
They went into the half
our
down 8
Tuesday
points against
episode.
the team. Yeah.
Our Tuesday episode, we agreed on that. If Syracuse loses this basketball game, it is because a slow start finally caught up to them. That's exactly what happened.
I thought, Owen, I had two thoughts about our predictions throughout the game. One, I was like, man, we were wrong. Because we both predicted a Syracuse win. And then at the end, I was like, we might be so right. We were almost so
Imagine.
right. Because we both picked them to not cover but win. Not only did they not cover, but they lost. But we almost were right. I was pretty excited about that. I would have been.
Oh my god, that was good. I mean, decent predictions out of us, honestly.
Yeah, happy about that.
I have.
I
know you're about to wrap. I have a few shout outs before we end.
Go ahead.
I saw a lot of people angry with Adam Weitzman yesterday.
Why?
Because he's, why are we bringing celebrities to the game when we could be, signing NIL deals? Shout out Adam Weitzman. A game at 9 p.m. where the dome was empty. He shows up with the three biggest names on the Buffalo Bills, arguably. Shout out him. Shout out number 2 goes to my man John Bull. Because even though, this is incredibly genuine, and I'm not messing around and I'm not forcing it. He did not play yesterday.
It's true.
He stood arguably the entire game, going nuts on the bench every time they scored, down 20 or down 2, going nuts the entire game. He is the presence that you want. He is the guy that you need. He is such a good morale boost on a team that needs some morale boosting and some camaraderie and some, fun and all of that energy. Down that stretch when Syracuse is coming back, Judah Mintz gets destroyed going to the basket. Who helps him up? Not one of the 4 guys on the court, not one of the 5 Pitt players. John Bull ran from the bench down the baseline to pick up Judah Mintz. What is happening? That is just what he's doing. And I love that even though he had this, stretch where he's playing 10, 15 minutes, and that's sort of dialed back because Malik Brown is establishing himself as the guy that should get those minutes. His approach, his attitude, his mentality is 100% still intact. And I think that is incredible and really cool to see from a guy that just likes to bring people up. And that's awesome. Shout out number 3. Do I have a bonus shout out?
1,000 subscribers. We hit it.
Yes. Tag team.
We hit it. Thank you.
Good for y'all. Thank you. We got what? 10 days for me to fork up a 4, maybe 5 pack of tickets.
There's a case for 5.
So we're going to start that conversation. I'm going to throw this out there because I would love it to work this way. I don't know if it will. If anyone knows people that would love to go to a game but can't necessarily, times are tough, whatever it is, can't get there. We would love a suggestion because I would love to let this go to someone who maybe might not be able to get to, games every week or have the ability to do that. So let us know if you know of anyone. That would be amazing. If not, we'll do maybe a giveaway, something, a drawing, a like and subscribe, a retweet. Who knows? We'll have some fun. But either way, shout out to y'all for 1K. It's been fun. Let's keep riding.
Thanks for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen every day. Go make the second one. Peter Bukowski, Locked On Sports Today. He's got you covered with everything going on in the sports world. It's available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. I'm Matt Bonaparte. He's Owen Valentine. We'll talk to you later.